This new system fixes broken marriages on the brink of divorce. Not only that, it helps men make millions of dollars and it helps you have a great relationship, a great business or wealth, great health, basically be a man who has it all, a man who has power, profits, and purpose. It's more effective than psychology, counseling, therapy, marriage counseling, all those things that don't really seem to work for a lot of men. And the reality is, it's so damn simple. What I'm talking about is called the Empowered Man Method. And on episode 50 of this Empowered Man podcast, we're going to break down the story behind myself and Sam, the head coaches, and myself, the founder of the Empowered Man, and how it's helped over 724 men fix their marriage, find work-life balance, and grow their business without sacrificing their health, their happiness, or their family. So if you want to be the best man you can be, then make sure you take a bunch of notes and listen to this episode all about the Empowered Man Method. What a clickbaity title, right? This new system fixes marriages on the brink of divorce. But despite the fact that you might be listening to this right now, you, the listener at home, because you want to fix a marriage on the brink of divorce, you're in the right place for that. We're going to be talking today about episode 50 of the Empowered Man podcast. And this episode is going to be all about what is the Empowered Man? What is the Empowered Man program? What is this new system? And why must you, as the listener, that's the key word here I'm going to use. I'm going to debate all over you, should all over you, must. And anyway, that was a previous episode. Should start the podcast again. That was a bit awkward. But it's episode 50 and it's special because, we've coached 724 men to date in the Empowered Man program. And it's a program that changed my life. So if you're listening to this and you are a business owner or career-driven man, a husband, a father, or you're going through relationship issues, I know I say this every episode, but it will change your life. I guess the best place to start is to talk about the beginning. The Empowered Man has been around for a little while now. It actually used to be called Tony Body. And when it was Tony Body, it was named that because I'd gone into online coaching before everyone else was doing it. I'm assuming, Sam, you see ads everywhere. Sign up to this, buy this, course, challenge, blah, blah, blah. We started 7 years ago, and we started because my life fell fucking apart. I was a successful guy. I was making about $4,000 to $5,000 a week, really good money, mostly cash. I was a personal trainer, had a business, and I'd been in a relationship for 4 years, I believe, with this woman that I fell in love with. I thought she was everything. And I had my whole life planned out, man. Like, if you're a hardworking man, you know what this is like. I had my life planned out. I could see my children. I could see my future. I just bought my dream home and everything was going great. Or so I thought. And then my partner at the time, Anita, she started acting a bit strange. She was staying out late and coming home late. And I wasn't even suspicious. I was just like concerned because I trusted her. I loved her. I was naive. I was young. I was 24 years old. And then one day she came home after another late night. It was like 10 p.m. And she walked through the door and I'm like, where were you? And she just looked me in the eyes, walked to the couch, didn't drop my gaze, sat down. And as she's staring me in the eyes, she just said, Tony, I don't love you anymore. It was the exact words. There was nothing else said. And I was like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? I don't remember how I reacted, but I just I felt a piece of me inside just break. The best way I can describe it, Sam, I'm getting emotional thinking about it. The best way I can describe it was like I had a hole in my chest that was about the size of a basketball. And the ironic thing is this was a week before I was going to propose. And it was also a week before I was flying to New Zealand with her for my best friend's wedding, where I was the best man. And she decided not to come. She decided that it was over, that she was not coming to the wedding. So I went to this wedding, the celebration of love, where I was going to propose, to watch my best friend get married as the best man, where I was the MC and I was just wearing this fucking mask. And it was a mask I'd worn for years. It was the mask of successful, making money, providing, leader, king, I'm the man, I don't show emotion. When in reality, I had ignored the warning signs for years, man. Like, we were arguing, we weren't having sex like we used to. When we did have it, it was forced, it was uncomfortable. It felt yuck afterwards. I remember 6 months before she said, I don't love you anymore, we were at lunch and she said, I've shared this in a previous podcast, she said, I don't think we're going to work out. And my instant response was, don't say shit like that. I just swept it under the rug. I swept under the rug the anxiety. I swept under the rug the depression I was in, the alcohol I was drinking, the numbing that I did each day, and the disconnection that began to occur. And for 3 months, man, I went on a bender. Like, I completely fucking destroyed myself. Drugs, alcohol, porn, gambling, I spent all my money. I pretty much lost myself and lost everything. And I remember 3 months in, I was sitting in my room just crying, just hysterically crying. That hole was so painful. Like, I don't know what else I've had that's that painful. And I thought, man, maybe it would be easier if I just wasn't here anymore. Like, that was what went through my head. And I started thinking of ways to like end my life. Ironically enough, at that time, my father called me, my father who was never around. And he said, Tony, you got so much more life to live and so much more to give. In Croatian, he said it. And that sparked something in me. And from that moment, I made a decision. I said, you know what? I'm going to fucking make sure that I never in my life again have someone that I love that leaves me. I'm going to become such a fucking weapon. I didn't think these exact words, but I made a decision that I'm going to be so good. I'm going to be so powerful that this can never happen to me again. And God forbid it does. If Rosie, my current wife, leaves, I have complete certainty within myself that I did everything. Because for 3 months, I blamed her. I didn't do everything. I was a fuck up. And that's what sparked the Empowered Man, this podcast, this program. And to date, we've helped 724 men and counting, probably 10,000 with our free stuff like this podcast, fix their marriages, find work-life balance, and grow their business without sacrificing their health, happiness, or family. That's my story, Sam. So before we get stuck into what is the Empowered Man program, what is this new system that you can implement at home, Sam, what's your story? Because today is a very special day for you. It's a very important day, isn't it?
Today's a big day. Today, my divorce is official. I'm no longer married, which there's a lot of emotion, so that may come out. Yeah. I'm comfortable.
It's okay, bro. We're allowed to show emotion. We're men. We're allowed to be strong men.
100%. Today it's official, and it's been 16 months that we've been separated, and probably 18 months of uncertainty. But as I look back, and I've done a lot of reflection over the last 16 months, it's not just been 18 months in the making. For my ex-wife, it had been years in the making. We'd bought our dream home in October 2021 and moved in, and 4 days later we poured our life savings into it, and 4 days later she said, "I don't love you anymore." Those words that just take the air out of your lungs, and they just your heart just sinks, and it feels like everything around you that that you believe just crashes to the floor. And in that moment, our story, but hearing a lot of other men's stories, feel so alone. And over a period of time, we started going through some marriage counseling, which was cut short in a session where she rocked up and said, look, she'd spoken with the counselor. She said, look, I want to separate. And in a process of 20 minutes, it was talk about separation, that I needed to move out and find somewhere to live. And the counselor got quite controlling, and you need to give her an hour to go home and get some stuff so that she can go and stay at her parents while you figure out where to live. You need to be out in 3 days. This is what's going to happen with child support in terms of payments and this and that, and the custody arrangements of your child, and she's going to have to buy you out of the house. It was just like, what the heck? What the heck's just happened to my life? And I just felt so alone. And I remember leaving that counseling session. I got in my car and I zoomed off around the corner, and I wailed. I just wailed, because everything that I knew, everything that I believed, everything that I stood for and believed that I did the best I could with what I had, just crumbled to the ground. And over the next days and weeks, I wasn't sure if I was going to make it. And, I contemplated ending my life, and the only thing that kept me going was my boy, and not wanting my boy to grow up without his dad. And I look back over the last 16 months, and now, today it's confronting. I'm very much at peace with the fact that we are divorced, that we didn't work, that we did what we could. We did the best we could with the tools we had available to us at the time. There's a huge level of ownership and responsibility that I've been able to dig into for myself over the last 16 months. This morning, I wrote a forgiveness letter to myself to set myself free from some of the stuff I've been hanging on to. And I wrote a forgiveness letter to her. And today I'm going to let those go. Yeah, it's been confronting. It's been, so I think you're muted, Tony. I can't hear you, brother.
Sorry, go ahead. Okay, yeah.
It's been the most confronting thing that I've ever faced. But out of it, like the day after we separated, I was like, all right, big boy pants on. And I went and did a coaching session with a whole bunch of couples that we worked with and talked about love languages. And then I finished the call and had a cry and then, and just kept on going. But the man that I've become over the last 16 months, I'm well on my way to becoming my own best mate. And that's something that's become very, very important to me. I feel very secure as a single man, as a dad. My relationship with my son has just gone next level. But that pain and that brokenness at the start, I understood why so many men don't make it through, because they don't have the tools. I had tools. I had things to lean into. But a lot of men don't. And, look back at the end of 2022 last year and realized last year in my own pain, I was able to help over 100 men. And that's directly on Zoom, chatting with them, supporting them, coaching them. Obviously we've had our podcast as well. And so being able to take our stories, both you and I take our stories and use those scars to allow us to speak into this space I think is really, really significant.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because there's psychologists and therapists and marriage counselors out there, but how many of them have been through the fire? How many of them understand the feeling of the hole in your chest, hearing those words, thinking about another man raise your kids? How many of them understand the pressure of running a business and having a team to look after while your personal life is falling apart?
Yeah.
How many of them understand that people look up to you and think you're the leader when in reality you feel weak and alone? They often don't. And that's the big difference between what's taking over in the world, this new system, which is called the Empowered Man Program, versus traditional treatments. Because let's be honest, traditional treatments are not working. Like as men, we are more overweight, stressed, depressed, anxious, and divorced than ever before. And if you look at the data, I mean, the numbers are skyrocketing, but there's also more psychologists, therapists, coaches, mentors, YouTube videos, podcasts. So it's not just an information story. The information is out there. You can watch all our podcasts for the last 50 episodes, and there's a lot of information there. But what's missing is the investment in oneself. Because let's be honest, what happened to you and I, and what happens to so many men, it had to happen. It had to happen because it was the catalyst for us to change. Now, you might be listening to this at home and maybe your marriage isn't on the brink of divorce. Maybe you just want to be a better man for your family. Maybe you want to be more successful, be happier, be healthier, be wealthier. Whatever your goals are, whether you're on the brink of divorce or you just want to improve things, the only way to do that is to upgrade yourself. You see, if you and I had been taught how to communicate, how to ask better questions, how to meet each other's love languages, then we probably wouldn't have gone through that separation. Now, granted, we're both grateful for it now, and it's the best thing that ever happened to us. Like, it's allowed us to become who we are, and I've got my daughter now, and you're raising an amazing son. But for a lot of men listening, they don't need to go through that. It's funny, as men, we upgrade our phones every year. I just got this iPhone 14. It was $1,899. God forbid a man spends $1,900 on himself. We had a guy just join our program. He's a very successful business owner. And he's like, we have programs ranging from $37 to $7,500 to $48,000. And he signed up to a $7,500 program. And he sent us a message overnight saying, I don't know if my wife's going to be okay with me spending this money. I did this other program that was $3,600 and I got just as much stuff. I'm like, brother, if that program worked, you wouldn't have come to us. So we upgrade our phones, we upgrade our cars, we upgrade our wardrobes, we spend money on our business, we spend money on our children. But as men, we don't increase the value of ourselves. I mean, think about it. If you are a high value man, not just you look good, you're healthy, you don't have a gut, you are able to communicate with power and control and not force, really power. If you're able to lead people, like we talked about in the last episode, if you are giving love and being patient and understanding and guiding people to their vision, who is going to leave you? People gravitate to that. And it's funny, as men, because we don't upgrade ourselves, we have this belief that it's the wife's fault or the kid's fault or the business's fault. In reality, the number one thing you can do as a man is upgrade yourself and invest in yourself. When you renovate a house, that house becomes more valuable. So if your wife is falling out of love with you, you got to think about what's happening in her head. In her head, what's happening is she goes, we were in love at one point. It's been X amount of time since I felt those feelings. And she starts losing that certainty and belief that she can have that again. And there's a certain tipping point for every woman and every man where they go, I can no longer believe this to be true. I can no longer see a future. And at that point, you can't convince anyone of anything. Yeah. It's like trying to convince you, Sam, you're religious, that God doesn't exist. You'll say, thanks for the opinion. You can't convince the person otherwise. As men, we don't upgrade ourselves. And that's what the Empowered Man program really is in a nutshell. It's a form of investing in yourself. Now, you could easily go get a psychologist, get a therapist, get a personal trainer. You could read books. You could do whatever you want. But those things are lacking some core elements, right? One of the core elements that is lacking in most things that men can do to upgrade their marriage, business, and life is that those systems are broken. If you're getting value from this content and you want to upgrade yourself, you want to fix your marriage or relationships, you want to find work-life balance, or you want to be successful and winning in life, then SMS the number on the screen right now saying upgrade. SMS upgrade to 0482 097 778. That's +61 482 097 778. SMS upgrade to +61 482 097 778. And what we'll do is we'll send you all of our best content on health, wealth, and relationships completely for free. So SMS the number on the screen right now to get on our list, and we'll send you all the stuff you need to win. Right? So let's talk about marriage counseling. We've said this before in podcasts. What happens when you go and see a marriage counselor? Like, let's say your marriage is on the brink of divorce and the wife goes, let's go to counseling. The success rate of counseling is astoundingly low. I don't know the exact number. We can make it up. It's probably 10%. What happens in a counseling or therapy session that's different to upgrading yourself and doing a system that works? What's the difference?
In a counseling session, from my own experience, the counselor does what they need to do to open up the wound. And then by the time they've opened up the wound and everyone's sort of shared how they feel and how hurt they are or whatever, how angry they are, or the timer goes off and it's like, cool, all right, we'll see you in a fortnight or see you in a month. And you walk out of the session with an open wound and you have no idea what to do with it. Mm-hmm. And what happens when you've got this open wound and you don't do anything to treat it, you don't have a plan, it gets infected, it festers, and there's no resolution. There's no plan. I remember coming out of these sessions going, but what do I do? What do I focus on? How do I process what has just been brought up? Like, what do I do with that? Do I just let it linger?
Yeah.
And then bitterness sets in and resentment sets in and there's no resolve.
No. And if you think about it, like, it's not just the marriage, it's the stress and triggers you feel each day.
Yeah.
It's the thoughts of negativity and judging people. It's the doubt within yourself if you're good enough. It's the arguments with the wife. It's the getting angry at the kids. It's the being too busy to be present with your family. It's the struggling to switch off. These are things every man experiences. So if you have a system that helps you fix that for an hour a week, even if you went to 3 sessions a week, what happens the other 165 hours? This is where the systems that men have to upgrade themselves are broken. See, most men, they don't upgrade themselves. And then maybe there's a select few who do upgrade themselves. So they go to the counseling, they get that personal trainer, and they put in the effort for an hour or two. But there are 168 hours in a week. So what I'm really proud of with what we've created at Empowered Man is it's not a 1 hour a week. It's not a 5 hour a week. It's 168 hours a week. You have support and you have a system that gives you a step-by-step roadmap on how to work on each piece of yourself. Because if your marriage breaks down, it's not one part. It's not just one argument. It's not just one bad night. It's not just one disconnection or lack of sex. It's a culmination of things. And you got to understand, unfortunately, it's really unfair. As a man in 2023 and beyond, there are parts of you got to work on. There's 3 areas we coach. There's health, wealth, and relationships. So you need a system. If you want to fix a marriage or grow a business or be a better man, I'm going to use that word, you need a system that integrates those three areas. Because let's talk about it. Let's say your marriage is great, but you're busy and have no time and you're stressed and you get fat and overweight. Well, how long will your marriage be great for if you're never home or if you have a gut?
Mm. Mm.
Let's say your business is great, you're making lots of money, you have free time, and your health is good and you've got a ripped six pack, but your wife leaves, then what?
Mm-hmm.
And let's say your wife's great and your business is great, but you are getting terminal cancer or have a heart attack, everything falls apart. You've got to integrate all of those things. And the problem I see, Sam, with the rest of the world is everyone's trying to solve one problem. Here, personal trainer, let me help you with your weight. Marriage counselor, let me help you with your marriage. Business coach, let me help you scale your business. But up until now, up until we created what we have here, and we've coached 724, we currently have 160 members, is we've created something that integrates all three. So yes, you can fix your marriage in 2 to 4 weeks. How do we do that? Communicating, connecting, understanding each other, love, appreciation, support, understanding, respect. We talked about that in the laser episode, the love meeting.
Mm.
But then you don't just do that. You work on your mindset, your health, your routines, your habits, your rituals, while also working on your time management, your wealth building, your vision, your values. And you can quickly see how when you become a man who does all of that, you become elite. Like you transcend what normal men are. Because what does a normal man look like, Sam? They're overweight, they're unhappy, they're unhealthy, they're angry, they're triggered. If you just step above that, you shine.
Yeah.
And ironically enough, that's the person that your wife fell in love with. She thought you were that guy. But then you get busy, you have kids, you start working, you stop being that guy. And we know, the crazy thing is we know this is happening. Like how many of you guys are listening right now at home? And you're like, fuck, that's me.
Mm.
So the first problem is the systems out there are broken. This is why divorces happen. It's not your fault. If you are not where you want to be, it simply means you weren't taught how. It's not your fault. But it is your responsibility to fix it. And you've got to have a plan and a system that works on 3 areas: health, wealth, and relationships. If you're trying to do one at a time, it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. Now, the question we get a lot of the time is, well, how can you do everything at once? It's simple. You have a plan. How do you drive a car? How do you dry your body with a towel when you get out? It's become ingrained in you. It's who you are. The second problem I see, mate, is you said it earlier, that men feel alone. Mm. Especially when the wife leaves, especially when you're hardworking. If you run a business, you start losing friends, you have no time.
Yeah.
Most systems out there are broken because there is no tribe. There is no brotherhood. Like up until you found Empowered Man, you've been here for 7 years. What was your tribe? What was your brotherhood? Or was it just work, grind, hustle, provide?
Yeah, it was work, and the people you would see around work and through work would become people you just talked with, but it was always at this sort of shallow level.
Yeah.
You know, and you just talk to each other out of necessity instead of having a deep, honest and authentic relationship.
Yeah.
And it's this silo mentality as a man, you know, if I open up about that with them, then I look weak. And then, you know, they wouldn't understand. No one else is going through this. And we believe this story that no one understands. We're alone. We can't have that depth of connection because it's weak. And I just love it when men come to Empowered Man and they get kind of immersed into this brotherhood, this tribe. And they're like, it's like they're telling my story. And I'm like, yeah. So as much as we think we're so unique, we're not.
Yeah,
Problems
absolutely.
aren't. And I found so much comfort in the men that we work with and those on similar journeys, but also connecting through other avenues with other men going through very similar things. It's like, wow, this is not new. This is, if anything, it just shows the pattern that happens so often.
Yeah. Well, what is that pattern, right? So this is how it works. You get married and you set a vision and goals together. It's typically buy a house, pay that off, raise a family, have a great life of freedom. We all want financial freedom. That's the goal. Mm. But then the story becomes something different. You spend less time with each other. You don't go on dates anymore. You get less intimate. And you tell yourself a story because this is what we're told, that it's a man's job to work hard and provide. So you put time and energy into the business and growing the wealth, which is great. You should do that. You get to do that. But with that comes a lot of sacrifice, right? There's the sacrifice of time, constantly busy. Mm. There's the sacrifice of health because you have no time. You don't work on you. Any spare time you have, the kids are climbing on you or the wife is at your throat. Mm. And because you don't have time to look after your physical and mental health, that's when you start to react to the world. You become reactive instead of responsive.
Mm.
So one of the things we teach here at the Empowered Man is that you are in control of your thoughts, feelings, actions, and reactions. But how can you be in control of those things if you have no time and you don't look after yourself? So now there's this suboptimal version of you showing up and you're making money and providing. So you think that's enough. This is all happening subconsciously. But in the meantime, this disconnection, this rift is getting wider and wider and wider. And we tend to forget that one day you're going to fucking die and you'll never get this time back. I mean, if you're listening to this right now at home and your children are 5, 10, 15 years old, you know what I'm talking about. There are so many moments you missed. The problem is for men is they do this on their own and they don't realize that there are other men out there going through this. And what they don't realize is there are thousands of men out there, and currently 160 working with us, who actually have the opposite. They have it all. So they've got that financial freedom. They've taken back 1,000 hours a year, 20 a week. They're reconnecting with their wife and kids. They're healthy and they have energy and they're making more money. And anyone listening to this is like, that sounds amazing. Well, you've got to have a tribe. And this is what sets what we do apart from anyone else. This is why I love the Empowered Man program. You play at the level you invest at, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard the quote, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with?
Yeah.
It's absolutely true. You know, if somebody on your team is bringing low energy and getting overwhelmed or stressed, that will bring the rest of the team down. If somebody in your family is doing that, it's going to bring people down. What we've created here is, and there's so many programs and coaches out there, but we have some of Australia and New Zealand's most successful men in this program. We have a guy that we had join yesterday who has a $50 million business. That's a big business. But he came to us and he's like, man, I'm just wearing a fucking mask. And I was like, cool. So who looks after you, man? You look after like 300 employees, your wife, your 3 kids. Who looks after you? And he went, no one. And you play at the level you invest at. It's quite funny. If you invest in like a $37 ebook, what do you think the results are going to be? If you invest in a Toyota Corolla, nice car, reliable, or you can get a Lamborghini. They both do the same fucking thing, but one operates at a much higher level. It's much more powerful. And every man, I believe, if you want to, you don't have to have any of this, but if you want to be elite, if you want to have an elite marriage, an elite body, an elite business, elite wealth, elite financial freedom, elite leadership with your children and your family, it's really hard to do that on your own. I found with myself that when I surround myself with elite people, my capacity, I level up so quickly. And to go from where I was 7 years ago to where we are now with, 160 of the most successful men in Australia and New Zealand, it's mind-boggling. And what's crazy is we have guys join Empowered Man who aren't elite. They're making 100 grand a year or 250 and their business is suffering. And you see them just like quadruple because they get pulled up. The rising tide, was it the quote? The rising tide or the rising tide sinks all the ships or something. What's the quote?
Something.
The rising, let's Google it. The rising tide ships.
My coach sent it to me the other day.
Yeah, I got it. A rising tide lifts all the boats.
Lifts all the boats. Yeah, that's right.
Lifts all the fucking boats, right? So what we do at Empowered Man is premium, right? Like obviously you can pay it off over 2 to 7 years. You can join our premium programs for like $50 a week. But we have guys who invest 48 grand to work with us. And if you're listening to this right now, like you don't have to sign up to anything or join anything. I just want you to understand that when you start investing at that level, you start playing at a higher level. Every man needs a coach. Like think about it. Every tennis player, every footy player, every successful businessman, they all have coaches. Now, if you are listening to this and you're successful and you don't have one, well done. But you could be 10x'd if you did. And this is the crazy thing, right? We work on broken systems, counseling, personal trainers, therapists. I'm not knocking those things. They can work, but it's very unlikely. The success rate's so low. We use these broken systems. We do it on our own. We don't have a fucking tribe. And we don't invest in ourselves or upgrade ourselves, and we have no one holding us accountable. So what fixed my marriage and what's made my marriage with Rosie so powerful, man, is, and what's grown our business to, 5-6 million at the end of this year, hopefully, is doing the opposite of that. Investing in coaches. I spent $107,000 last year on coaching. This year so far, 10th of March, 2023, I'm 60 in. Having multiple people to look after you and support you, having a tribe of men just like you, and upgrading yourself every single day, playing at a higher level. If you can do that as a man, which is, by the way, exactly what we do in the Empowered Man program, the system changes lives, magic begins to happen. Why do you think it's so pivotal to have all these pieces? Like, if you were missing accountability or a plan or education or a tribe, how would that handicap you? Because I know a lot of people listening going, this makes sense. But like, what sets the Empowered Man program apart, and how is it different to everything else out there?
Well, when some of those areas are suffering, we believe those stories that sit in. So, oh, I'm alone, no one understands, or we don't have a plan, so I don't know what to do. We tell ourselves, I don't know what to do, or I'm confused, or I'm overwhelmed, or we get very reactive. Oh, she wants to leave, she can leave. Like and we just don't have anything to draw upon. Some of the things that we teach in the Empowered Man, being completely transparent, 18 months ago for me were a nice optional add-on. When I went through the fire, they became a lifeline. They were like some of the things that kept me going day in, day out, because it was like this regimented every day that I wake up.
Mm-hmm.
I now have a system. I now have something to pull me out of bed and get me moving, get me thinking better. And, we all have our days, but having the tools to draw upon in those days to become empowered. And when you lean into that and you invest in that, it gives you a level of control, even in the fire.
Yeah.
A level of control over 1, 2, 3 things. And you're just like, okay, cool. I've got something to hang on to now. I'm going to get through this. I'm going to be okay.
Yeah. And that's the big difference between a broken system and a life-changing system, right? Mm-hmm. What Empowered Man is, it's a life-changing system that makes you limitless.
Yeah.
It's not what you do. Like, anyone can eat well, anyone can exercise, anyone can fix their marriage, anyone can stop smoking, anyone can get healthy for a day or a week or a month or a year. But how do you do it day in, day out for the next 20, despite the stress from business, despite your wife being upset once a month, despite the children acting up, despite financial pressure? How can you have it all in those moments? And that's what this is really about. It's about becoming that guy. And I'll tell you right now, this system, the Empowered Man program, I'll tell you exactly how it works. You come in and you work with us. We put 5 coaches in your pocket: onboarding coach, mindset coach, relationship coach, personal trainer, nutritionist, business. We combine it all together. So you're not searching for all these different things. We have health, wealth, and relationships. So now you've got a group of men, 160 of them, just like you, who are leveling up and pulling the ship up. You got 5 coaches in your pocket every single day, 24/7. And then this is the simple program. You can do it at home. And we've taught most of it in the first 49 episodes. You have an amazing, powerful morning routine where you wake up full of energy, rock hard, ready to fucking tackle the day. Throughout the day, you're empowered. You control this. You can handle anything. And whenever a problem comes, you find a solution. You come home and you are calm, patient, you have power, profits, and purpose, and you show up as a leader for your family. And then we teach you throughout the day a routine and an evening routine so you can be healthy, happy, wealthy. That's the program. It's having coaches, accountability, education, and you follow a plan every morning, you follow a plan every day, you follow a plan every night, 365. But the difference is, because anyone can follow a plan, is that within about 3 to 4 weeks, this becomes a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It becomes your operating system. How many times have you in the past said you're going to change? How many times has your wife told you she's unhappy? How many times have you stayed back late at work and thought, fuck, what am I doing this for? And how many times have you yelled at the kids and gone, fuck, I feel guilty? That doesn't change until you make a fucking decision. Because we have a smoker who's trying to quit smoking and a smoker who says, I'm no longer a smoker. This guy's trying. He's still identifying as a smoker. It's about making a decision to live and breathe as someone we call the Empowered Man. That's the language of this. It's an empowered man. A man who has power, purpose, direction. A man who is a world-class leader for his family. But let's be honest, if you got anything out of that and you want to be that guy, you got to have a plan. You got to have a tribe. You got to learn how to make that plan and tribe a lifestyle. And you got to be held accountable, because let's be honest, there are times where we don't want to fucking do it. But that's where the tipping point is there's a certain point for all the guys we work with where they go, holy shit, this is who I am now. And once you become that guy, it's very hard to go back. When you're on that upward spiral, man, you're winning. But so many of us go on that downward spiral, this downward spiral of despair and loss. And this is what causes divorces to happen and children to be raised in broken homes. The question I have for anyone listening here is, are you happy with where you are? Are you okay with your health, physically and mentally? Do you feel like you're on fire? Do you feel weaponized? Do you feel bulletproof? Do you feel limitless within yourself? If the answer is no, do something. Do you feel like your relationship is full of spark, intimacy, connection? Do you feel like a leader for your loved ones and your team? If the answer is no, fucking do something. And do you feel like you have financial freedom, time freedom, mental freedom? If the answer is no, do something. Now, understand you don't have to do a fucking thing. But you cannot sit on this planet as a modern day man and complain and bitch and moan about things breaking, your wife leaving, not being happy if you're not doing something about it. I guarantee, though, if you do want to do something about it, you don't know where to start. And that's exactly where we were. Sam and I didn't know where to start when our wife left. Our wives. Right? So if you've listened this far and you want to have a system that avoids divorce and fixes broken marriages, if you want to have a system to achieve work-life balance or business-life balance, if you want to take back 20 hours a week, 1,000 hours a year, if you want to get healthy and weaponize your body and bulletproof your mind, if you want to have it all in your health, wealth, and relationships, then find someone and something that's going to take you there. Find a system that you know works. At Empowered Man, we have that system. And if you've listened this far, something's resonated with you. So down below this video, there'll be a button you can click or a link where you can actually book a coaching session with our Empowered Man team, and we'll craft the roadmap for you. Even if you never work with us, we'll put it together. And if you're not the right fit for what we do, we'll send you all our free stuff. And if you are, we'll walk you through the options. No questions asked. You don't have to do anything, right? But really, it's down to finding that system. Because, man, if your car breaks down, you fix it. If one of your kids was sick, you need to find 15 grand tomorrow to save their life, you'd find it. Treat yourself with the same respect.
Yeah.
This program has changed my life, man. And it's changed so many men's lives. And it's funny, the guys who joined, they're like, I should have done this earlier. Yeah. So if anyone's listened this far, what advice would you give them about this system, the Empowered Man program method that we use? What would you say to someone listening who knows they need to do something? They're just afraid, they're stuck, they're uncertain.
Many of us, well, we all know that we need to do something. And for the vast majority of us, we bury our head into something else and work, or the sand, so to speak. And we just hope that it's the rough patch is just going to blow over. Life doesn't get better by chance. It gets better by change. And so many men sit on the fence. Many men have hopped on calls with our team in the past and gone, oh, I think I just need to wait. And they come back to us in a year where things have escalated more and more. And they're like, gee, I wish I did that so long ago. My encouragement from someone who has lived this and is living this, do something to invest in yourself. When you do that and you gain a level of control, no matter how big that fire is that you're walking through, you can start to see a way forward because you've got a plan and you've got a reason, as I said before, a reason to get up each day, a reason to take control. And when you do that in a community of men, you know, the only way we downward spiral from that is when we lean out of community, we lean out of support, we lean out of accountability. But when you're with a community of men who are on a similar journey to you, it's empowering and you want to keep on getting better, not to compete, but because you're like, yeah, this is what we do. This is the attitude. This is the atmosphere. This is the culture.
Yeah.
I am the empowered man. And that's exactly when you make a commitment to something like this, that's exactly who you will become.
Yeah. And that's the person your wife, your kids, your team deserve.
Absolutely.
And no one leaves somebody like that. They just don't.
Yeah.
You gravitate people towards you. You become a magnet for love, success, winning, power, purpose, direction. But I wish there was a magic pill you could take. There isn't. It requires a tribe. It requires a plan. It requires accountability. It requires education. And like Sam said, invest in yourself. It does not have to be with us. You don't ever have to pay my company or my movement a cent. I just know that we guarantee results, and the ROI, the return on investment, is 10x. You know, we have clients who make hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars from the investment they make into themselves through us. We are simply the vehicle. So find your vehicle, my friend. And if you'd like to be a part of the Empowered Man program, this new system that fixes marriages on the brink of divorce, that helps men have it all in health, wealth, relationships, then go down below and book a session with our team. We'll create the game plan for you. Yeah. This is episode 50, Sam. I'm excited. If you guys got value from this, feel free to drop a comment wherever you're listening, drop a like, 5 stars, whatever. And guys, we're going to keep doing these. We've got another 50 episodes to go, all about health, wealth, relationships. I just really wanted to drive this one home because we offer so much free value, but fuck, you can speed up time so quickly when you invest in you, man.
Yeah.
Like your relationships, health, wealth, they grow so fast when you have the right system. And for a lot of guys, this is it. So, guys, if that's something you're interested in, go and book a call with our team right now. And we'll see you for the next episode of the Empowered Man podcast. If you want to upgrade yourself, you want to fix your marriage or relationships, you want to find work-life balance, or you want to be successful and winning in life, then SMS the number on the screen right now saying upgrade. SMS upgrade to 0482 097 778. That's +61 482 097 778. SMS upgrade to +61 482 097 778. And what we'll do is we'll send you all of our best content on health, wealth, and relationships completely for free. So SMS the number on the screen right now to get on our list, and we'll send you all the stuff you need to win.